The sun cast long shadows over the sleek glass walls of Silvercrest Plaza, one of the city's most prestigious office buildings. Inside, the hustle of lawyers, tech workers, and entrepreneurs echoed through the halls. But while the tenants of Silvercrest were busy building their empires, few ever paid attention to the quiet man who pushed a mop through the marble-floored lobby. Tom Harris had been the janitor at Silvercrest for nearly 30 years. He wasn't tall or imposing, and his gray hair and gentle face blended into the background like the neutral tones of the building's walls. Most people assumed Tom was just part of the scenery, there to clean up after the day's mess and then disappear into the night. He was a fixture in their world, but never a part of it. Every morning, Tom arrived before dawn, cleaning the lobby, shining the windows, and making sure the coffee machines in the break rooms were filled. The tenants greeted him with nods or small smiles, but most didn't know his name. Only a few, like Maya, the young lawyer on the 15th floor, took the time to exchange a word or two with him. One thing was certain, though. Tom knew every nook and cranny of the building. He knew which light flickered in the conference rooms, which air vents made odd noises, and even which tenants stayed late into the night to finish projects or hold secret meetings. But what no one knew, what no one could even guess, was that Tom Harris had a secret. A secret so big it could change the fate of the entire building. It all started with a sudden announcement. The tenants of Silvercrest Plaza were gathered in the lobby one afternoon when Mr. Cranston, the building's manager, stood up on a makeshift stage. "We regret to inform you," Cranston began, his voice filled with cold indifference, "that the building's rent will be increasing by 20% starting next month." A wave of panic swept through the crowd. Silvercrest was already one of the most expensive places to rent an office in the city, and for many smaller businesses, this increase was a death sentence. The popular cafe on the ground floor, run by Mrs. Martinez, was already struggling. Several startups would have to leave the building or shut down completely. Maya felt her heart sink. She loved working in this building, and her law firm was still new, barely breaking even. Moving somewhere else would mean losing clients, and her dreams of building a practice that helped the underprivileged would fall apart. "Is there nothing we can do?" one tenant shouted. Cranston shrugged. "I don't make the rules. It's the decision of the owners. You'll have to take it up with them. Good luck trying to get a meeting." Everyone knew what that meant. The owners of the building were a mysterious corporation, and no one had ever met the person in charge. Rumor had it that Silvercrest was just one of many properties they managed. The tenants felt powerless, caught in the gears of a faceless machine. But not Tom. From his corner by the elevators, Tom listened to the chatter. His heart ached for Mrs. Martinez, for Maya, and for the young entrepreneurs who had worked so hard to build something in the building. He wanted to help, but he wasn't sure how. Yet. That evening, as he cleaned the lobby long after the tenants had left, Tom walked past Mr. Cranston's office and overheard something that made him stop in his tracks. "We need to squeeze more out of them," Cranston said into his phone. "The owners don't care if these people go under. We'll just bring in bigger fish." Tom's hand tightened on the mop handle. He could feel the weight of his secret pressing down on him. He hadn't wanted to reveal it. Not like this. But maybe now was the time. The next morning, while cleaning the break room on the 10th floor, Tom noticed Maya sitting at the window, staring out into the city. She looked troubled. "Rough day?" he asked softly, wiping down the counter. Maya looked up and smiled, though her eyes were tired. "Yeah, you could say that. It's this rent hike. Everyone's freaking out. I'm not sure what we're going to do." Tom paused, then sat down across from her. "What if I told you there might be a way to stop it?" Maya raised an eyebrow. "You have an idea?" Tom hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "You might say I have a little influence over the situation." Maya blinked, confused. "Influence? Tom, you're the janitor." Tom smiled faintly. "Yes, I am, but I'm also the owner of this building." Maya stared at him, stunned into silence. Wait, what? You own Silvercrest Plaza? Tom sighed and leaned back. It's a long story. When I started working here 30 years ago, the building was owned by a man named Mr. Cunningham. He was a good boss, and he took me under his wing. I worked hard, saved up, and when Mr. Cunningham was ready to retire, he offered me a deal. He sold me the building at a fraction of its value. I took out loans, scraped by, and over the years, I paid it off. But I never told anyone. I didn't want people to treat me differently. I like being the janitor. Maya's mind raced. This kind, humble man owned the very building where all these powerful people worked, and no one knew. But why haven't you stepped in with this rent situation? Maya asked. You could stop it, right? Tom's expression darkened. In theory, yes, but I'm not the only one with a say anymore. About 5 years ago, I sold a small share of the building to investors to help cover some major repairs. Unfortunately, that gave them enough power to make decisions like this. I still have a majority share, but they're pushing hard for this rent hike. Maya leaned forward, a spark of hope in her eyes. Then we can fight this. You own most of the building, right? You can overturn their decision. Tom smiled sadly. It's not that simple. The investors are powerful, and they'll fight back. But if we can come up with a plan, a way to show them that keeping the tenants here is better for the long-term health of the building, I might be able to convince them to back down. Maya wasted no time. She gathered the tenants for a meeting, and together, they started brainstorming ways to make the building more profitable without driving people out. Mrs. Martinez suggested hosting community events to draw in more customers, while the startups offered to collaborate on marketing initiatives to raise the building's profile. Tom worked quietly in the background, offering guidance and encouragement. As the weeks passed, the tenants came together like never before. The building became a hub of creativity and collaboration. The cafe flourished, new business deals were struck, and the entire atmosphere of Silvercrest Plaza shifted from one of dread to hope. But just as things were starting to turn around, Mr. Cranston caught wind of the plan. He wasn't happy. "You're meddling in things you don't understand, Harris," Cranston hissed one evening when he cornered Tom in the stairwell. "The investors won't stand for this. They want higher returns, not community spirit." Tom met Cranston's gaze calmly. "The investors might want higher returns, but they're not the ones who make this building special. The people here, the tenants, they're what gives Silvercrest its value. And I'm going to remind the investors of that." Cranston sneered. "Good luck. You'll need it." The day of the big investor meeting arrived. Tom, Maya, and a few key tenants stood in front of the investors, ready to present their case. The tension in the room was thick. Tom spoke first, his voice steady but firm. "I've been part of this building for 30 years, and I know it's worth better than anyone. It's not just about the rent, it's about the people. The tenants have come together to make this building thrive, and I believe in their vision." Maya presented the tenants' plan, showcasing the growth they'd already achieved through their efforts. The investors murmured amongst themselves, clearly impressed, but still hesitant. Finally, one investor stood up. "This is all well and good, but where's the guarantee? We need to know this will result in long-term profit." Tom stepped forward. "I'll guarantee it. I'm willing to invest more of my own money into the building to make sure this plan succeeds. I believe in the tenants. I believe in this community." The room fell silent. The investors exchanged glances, then slowly nodded. "We'll give it a try," the lead investor said. "But if it doesn't work, the rent hike stays." Tom smiled. "It'll work. You'll see." Over the next few months, Silvercrest Plaza blossomed. The tenants' efforts paid off, and the building became a bustling center of innovation and collaboration. The rent hike was canceled, and Tom's secret was out, though he still preferred to be called Tom the Janitor. The tenants now saw Tom not just as the man who cleaned the floors, but as the heart of the building. And as for Tom, he was content knowing that the community he had quietly nurtured for years was thriving in ways he had always hoped for. Late one evening, as Tom was finishing up his cleaning, Maya approached him. "Thank you, Tom," she said softly, "for everything." Tom smiled. "I didn't do it alone. This building is full of good people. It just took a little push to bring everyone together." As Maya walked away, Tom looked around the lobby, the familiar warmth spreading through his chest. He wasn't just the janitor anymore. He was the keeper of a place where dreams grew, and people came together to make something special. And that, he thought, was the greatest secret of all.